we're going to be talking with another educator in this shifted conversations that we're having through Learn Quebec. And today we're talking with Russell Dennis. He's a teacher, a Cycle 3 elementary teacher from the Western Quebec School Board. He works up in beautiful Chapeau through Dr. Wilbert Keon School. And that's a school that is both elementary and secondary all in one. And I've had the opportunity to go visit there a couple of times. Just a great location. So welcome, Russell, to this shifted conversation. How are you doing today?
Great, thanks, Chris.
Awesome.
It's a lovely morning.
Isn't it? And the end is almost here for the 2019-2020 school year, eh? Finally, it's kind of creeping its head up. And I don't know about you, but a lot of my colleagues are just on fumes right now. Very low energy. So let's start off. Russell, can you bring us back a little bit? We'll kind of look back to March. And what happened at Dr. Keon when the order came down that the schools had to close? What was the plan at Dr. Keon for the teachers and the school and the students itself? What took place?
Well, right away we were out of the classroom and we were at home, and for 2 or 3 weeks we were just sheltering in place. There was not a lot of communication or expectations at all. We were told just be safe, and then things started happening shortly after that, and the weekly packages were going out, and we were communicating frequently with the students, weekly with each student, and then as of May 4th, we were back in the school.
Right. And what, when you guys came back, what was the setup? How did you guys kind of get the school ready to have the students come back?
Yeah, so we had a week of in-school time to prepare, which felt like it wasn't nearly enough at the time, because we had to get our heads around a completely different way of being in the school. So we had done little tape boxes on the floor in each classroom, kind of a box per kid, and visual dividers all the way down the hallway to keep chunked up into 2-meter distances, and we worked really hard on getting our procedures in place, and everyone really pulled together, and by the time the kids came back, we were fully ready, but it was a big, hard week, and a lot of stuff in that week being ready.
Right.
Yeah,
it was a crazy time, when they announced that the kids were going to be going back. Was it just your elementary part? Because as I kind of described at the start of this, your school has both elementary and secondary combined, correct?
Yes, that's right. It was the elementary school students that.
Right. And did you relocate certain kids? Did you have to relocate elementary school kids into the high school a bit to find room to spread them out?
No. We only had, out of our school community of 90, we only had 6 students come back right away.
Oh, wow.
And one more just in the final week. So it was 3 groups, and each group had only 2 students in it, and 2 teachers.
That's pretty amazing. Working
with the group, so it was a reversal of the ratio that we would normally see.
Right.
Yeah.
And what? Why only so few students decided to come back? What was the reasoning behind that from the parents?
It was the administration that did all of the contacting, but quite a lot of them have said that they were vulnerable people in the home, and if they already had an opportunity to work from home, they were choosing to keep their kids home at that time.
Right. Well, that's an interesting An interesting development. I mean, an ideal class almost, with 2 students in it. Imagine that.
Yeah, maybe not lively enough at times.
Right.
Class discussions could be fairly sparse.
Right. Yes, especially if you had one shy kid in the mix, it would be. No, I hear you.
Yeah, no, I was lucky not to have any shy kids, for sure.
Right. So, what? Talk to me a little bit about the transition. Like, I know at Dr. Keon you do already do some remote online learning, right, with your secondary students through Learn.
Yeah,
but what was it like for the other kids that hadn't really experienced that online learning before? Talk to me a little bit about that transition from the face-to-face over to a more of an online learning environment.
Yeah, so it's been pretty gradual, really. At first, we were just sending out the weekly packages and answering follow-up questions as they came in, and touching base. But there was pretty limited feedback coming in, to be honest. I had 40 students, and of them, I was getting feedback from about 3 of them, and not ongoing feedback, but sporadic. And then as the end of the term grew closer, I decided to start including some live lessons too, using the Zoom platform.
Right.
And I found then that I was getting much better student contact, much better attendance. I had, I think, 5 or 6 classes, and in each of those classes I had anywhere between 10 and 20 students. So it was. The transition at first, I guess I found it really, really stressful.
Yeah.
Trying to, not having to, but deciding to sort of put myself out there and, host online, starring Russell Dennis. But each time I did it, I found it was a little easier and a little less stressful.
Right. And how did you prepare yourself for doing the Zoom? What did you get any PD training from the school board, or did you go online? Like, how did you get yourself ready for that?
Well, there are some Zoom tutorials online, but I'm very much a learn by playing kind of guy.
Right.
So I just started up an account and started having meetings with myself, in 2 different rooms, walking back and forth from camera to camera or whatever. And I just sort of played around with it and kind of figured out what I could do with it, and then went ahead and started, planning some lessons to use it.
Right on. And Russell, tell me about what were some of the resources that were essential in this. I know Zoom obviously was a big one, right? Because it gives you that doorway or screenway into the students. But what were some of the other resources that you use with your students that kind of facilitated the online learning?
Oh, okay. So there were some things that they were kind of used to a little bit. I was using Microsoft Teams a little bit to hand out and collect work.
Yep.
We've been doing that earlier in the year, as we had done a sort of math unit, the self-paced math unit used Microsoft Teams,
right.
Which I had. So my class was sort of familiar with that a little bit, which was useful. At our school board, every student has an Office 365 account, so they can access the full suite of Microsoft programs.
Right.
So we sort of relied on that a bit. Inside of Teams, I was using Microsoft Forms a little bit to create some quizzes and use those for assessment. For practice and for assessment, IXL and Prodigy Math I found were quite useful.
Nice.
We've been using those inside the year as well. And so, again, it's a familiarity that was key when they were plunged into a whole new reality.
Absolutely.
And Kahoot.
Right. Oh, that's a great one. I love Kahoots.
We quite enjoy that in the class.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk to me a little bit about the students. Like, what was how easy was it for them to transition to online? Did they struggle a bit, or Can you talk to that a little bit about the student transition, how they translated the face-to-face to the online?
Yeah, I mean, students are probably more adaptable than teachers. But yeah, it was. I mean, there are always some technology glitches for sure. In our area, we have fairly limited access to high-speed internet.
Right.
So a lot of times the students were getting a choppy connection. They were dropping out and having to rejoin and everything. But actually, right inside, when they were inside and they were connected, they adapted pretty quickly. They would use the features of Zoom appropriately, but that was one thing that I decided to do when I first started using the platform. Was I decided that I was going to dedicate the first part of I had a series of 3 classes. I dedicated the first part of each class to teaching specifically an element of Zoom and how to use it appropriately and what the classroom expectations were inside this platform, much as you would establish those things at the start of the school year. Absolutely. I felt that I needed to do that again to make sure that we were trying to transition in a smooth way. So I found that really helpful.
Yeah.
But I mean, the kids know, like, as soon as they were in it and using it a little bit, they would know the platform very well. So an example is we were having a meeting one day, and a guest speaker was in, and she wanted to talk with. She was talking with the grade 6s, and everyone else was just sort of, because I had 4s, 5s, and 6s coming into the class. Everyone else was just sort of sitting and listening, and one of the 6s, he put his hand up, his virtual hand in Skype. I mean in Zoom, and he. So I said, yes, Ethan. And he said, you could always just set up a breakout room for grade 6s if you wanted, so everyone else didn't have to listen to this.
Right. So easy, right? So easy, so logical. Yeah.
It's great. They learn the platforms a lot of the time quicker than their teachers can, and so it's wonderful. Anytime I'm using technology to get those little hints from the kids.
Absolutely.
They're fast experts.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I've been noticing as well. I've been talking to teachers quite a bit, in that oftentimes teachers are hesitant to try new tools, and I just say, throw it out there and let them figure it out with you. Like if you have an idea of what it can do and you're not sure all the A to Z on how it works, the students will help you figure all that out. I think that they would be motivated to kind of, share in the learning process of this online transition that we're going through. That's pretty interesting. Of course.
And so then it's important to model that you're willing to learn from them and to learn from each other. It becomes very collaborative. It's quite a nice feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And Russell, a couple of other things, like how have you gotten yourself ready to teach online? Because again, I've been hearing a lot, like, it's hard, it's kind of daunting, like, especially with teachers that are not button pushers, that just don't want to just kind of explore something and try to figure it out, as you were describing how you figure it out. What kind of PD do you think that would be the most helpful for teachers right now in this transitioning time?
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. That's a question that a lot of people are asking themselves and each other, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I don't know. A lot of the teachers in our school for Zoom were just starting meetings with each other and training each other and taking turns being the teacher and sharing the screen and giving permission to share, and like really just learning by doing, hands on, mouse on, play based, but purposeful learning together. And they've even talked about meeting up online at various points throughout the summer and taking the opportunity to take turns starting meetings and what have you. So it seems like within our school, at least, people tend to prefer Zoom for the actual meeting part of things.
Sure, yeah.
And then we don't have a firm direction about which platform must be used for the handing out and collecting of materials, but it feels like the two strong choices are either the Google suite or the Microsoft suite,
right.
In terms of availability and support.
Right.
So there's so much there's so much online interactive training that you can do for both of those completely on your own time. But I think maybe some focused training if the board or the school has decided which platform it will be using, and to get everyone on the same page and kind of using it in similar ways would be good for the student body.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you. What do you think engagement looks like online? Like if you were to have to describe it to another teacher, like what would you say when you know that your kids are engaged online? What would that kind of look like or feel like?
Okay. So, yeah, that's a great question. I'd say the feedback options right in Zoom can be quite useful for monitoring that. Kids can put their thumbs up or down. They can say, they can encourage you to move faster or slower. And if I'm teaching a concept, for example, we were doing non-fiction texts and pictures and captions. So then I would pop up a picture and say, "Okay, let's get your caption, please." Type in the chat feature, and you can see how many kids are getting it typed into the chat feature.
Right.
Or
Right.
I'll go back to the gallery view and I'll ask for a quick show of hands to say if you got it or not. I feel like you can use those features to monitor engagement. It's quite useful in that way.
That's great. Yeah, I agree with you. It's a great way to kind of keep in touch with them too, that you're far away, but you're still connected somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Russell, I'm going to ask you one final question here. And again, I want to thank you, Russell, for spending a little bit of time and just talking about your experience. It's super helpful. And you've made some really great points that I'll be happy to share with our community. So September is going to be rolling around soon enough. What do you think September looks like? Like, what are you guys preparing for? I know it's kind of still unknown, and there is like, okay, we're all going back to school in September according to the ministry, but how is Dr. Keon preparing for September?
Yeah, well, we've been doing a little bit of a digital renewal project, we're calling it, and trying to sort of develop some big idea thinking surrounding what connected online teaching could be like. And going back into the new year, we're going to continue that with a day of hands-on training used, I think, a choice of either the Microsoft or Google learning platforms. But me personally, what I'm planning to do is to use Microsoft Teams as much as I can for handing out and collecting work. Right off the bat, even inside the classroom, so that each and every student can be ready to know how to retrieve, complete, and hand in their work using that setting, which will make them very well prepared if at the drop of a hat we had to switch to everyone's at home or teaching is remote, because that's the reality we've been asked to prepare for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of being ready for everything, right? Everything and anything could happen.
So I've been playing around with it quite a lot with the assignments in Microsoft Teams, and I think it's just very useful. I've been taking the ministry rubrics, and I'm talking about just 4 ministry rubrics. They're the grade 6 rubric for narrative and for response to literature in English, and then the rubrics that they use for situational problems and application questions in mathematics. And I've kind of programmed those in to be these rubrics that you can use in the assignments setting. And I think that that's going to be really, really useful, because while it was a bit of time to do that, now I'm able to, when an application question is handed in to me, I'm able to go through it, click on 1, 2, 3 boxes, type in feedback, and have it instantly to the kid, if I so choose to. And so I feel like any of these things, they are heavy on the prep up front, but then they should make your life easier in the long run.
Absolutely. Yeah, time invested is time saved down the road, right?
That's right.
That's amazing. That's great ideas too. I mean, I think starting and kind of getting the mindset that we have to be ready for everything come September is the right mindset to be in. And also just getting the kids ready right away for possible digital learning, online learning.
Right, because we could be out of the classroom with no warning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank goodness summer is here and we have a little bit of time to just forget about it all for a little bit. And then come August, I'm sure that we will be inundated up to our eyeballs in it again. So I want to thank you, Russell, for your words and for spending a bit of time with us today. And I want to wish you a great summer and hope you get lots of rest. And that we all come back.
Thank you. Wonderful summer yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And it was great chatting with you. And I'm sure our roads will pass once again down the road.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when you're able to get back to Chapeau. I don't know.
Yeah, we got to come and do a visit up there soon. I just love that place. It's like a school on a hill overlooking a bay. It's just like this pastoral. It's really beautiful.
It's pretty perfect.
Yeah, and that bakery too. The bakery, you can't forget the bakery.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever in Chapeau, I go there every day.
Charles Bakery, yeah, that's good stuff.
All right, Russell, thanks
so much. They close on Mondays.
Right, right, I remember that. Well, you have a good one, and thanks again, and have a great summer.
Okay, sounds good, Chris. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.